devotees. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tata Jayam Udiret Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. Today we continuing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1st, chapter 12, birth of Emperor Parikshit, shloka number 18. Sri Raja Uvacha.
Sri Raja Uvacha.
Api Esha Vanshan Rajarushin.
Api Esha Vanshan Rajarushin.
Punya Shlokan Mahatmanaha.
Punya Shlokan Mahatmanaha.
Anuvartita Svit Yashasa.
Anuvartita Svit Yashasa.
Sadhuvadena Sattamaha.
Sadhuvadena Sattamaha.
Sri Raja Uvacha.
Sri Raja Uvacha.
Api Esha Vanshan Rajarushin.
Api Esha Vanshan Rajarushin.
Punya Shlokan Mahatmanaha.
Punya Shlokan Mahatmanaha.
Anuvartita Svid Yashasa.
Anuvartita Svit Yashasa.
Sadhuvadena Sattamaha.
Sadhuvadena Sattamaha.
Sri Raja Uvacha. Api Esha Vanshan Rajarushin. Punya Shlokan Mahatmanaha. Anuvartita Svid Yashasa. Sadhuvadena Sattamaha. Hare Krishna. Please read, Prabhuji.
Sri Raja Uvacha. Api Esha Vanshan Rajarushin. Punyashlokan Mahatmanaha. Anuvartita Svita Yashasa. Sadhuvadena Sattamaha.
Ashish Prabhuji. Then Krupamai Mataji and then Punam Mataji.
Sri Raja Uvacha Api Esa Vamsyan Rajarsin Punya Shlokan Mahatmana Anuvartita Svid Yasasa Sadhuvadena Sattamaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Dandat Mataji Prabhuji. Sri Raja Uvacha Api Isaha Vamsayan Raja Rishin Punya Slogan Maha Atmanaha Anuvartita Sveti Yasasa Sadhu Vadina Sattamaha. Thank you, Mata.
Hare Krishna. Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The good King Yudhiṣṭhira inquired, O great souls, will he become as saintly a king, as pious in his very name, and as famous and glorified in his achievements as others who appeared in this great royal family? Purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The forefathers of King Yudhiṣṭhira were all great saintly kings, pious and glorified by their great achievements. They were all saints on the royal throne, and therefore all the members of the state were happy, pious, well-behaved, prosperous, and spiritually enlightened. Under strict guidance of the great souls and spiritual injunction, such great saintly kings were trained up, and as a result, the kingdom was full of saintly persons and was a happy land of spiritual life. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was himself a replica of his ancestors, and he desired that the next king after him become exactly like his great forefather. He was happy to learn from the learned Brahmanas that by astrological calculations, the child would be born a first great devotee of the Lord. And more confidentially, he wanted to know whether the child was going to follow in the footsteps of his great forefathers, That is the way of the non-monarchical state. The reigning king should be a pious, chivalrous devotee of the Lord and pure, personified for the upstarts. He must also live an heir apparent equally qualified to rule over the innocent citizens. In the modern setup of the democratic states, the people themselves are fallen to the qualities of the Shudras or less, and the government is run by their representative, who is ignorant of the scriptural mode of administrative education. Thus, the whole atmosphere is surcharged with Shudra qualities manifested by lust and avarice. Such administrators quarrel every day among themselves. The cabinet of ministers changes often due to party and group selfishness. Everyone wants to exploit the state resources till he dies. No one retires from political life unless forced to do so. How can such low-grade men do good to the people? The result is corruption, intrigue, and hypocrisy. They should learn from the Srimad Bhagavatam how ideal the administrators must be before they can be given charge of different posts. Om Ajnanatimirandasya ज्ञानाञ्जना शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवान् च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांच नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. We try to understand shloka number 18 of chapter 12, birth emperor of Parikshit Maharaj. In this shloka, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj asking the question to the Brahmanas. They ask how the coming son in their family is glorified, famous, and he achievements also as appeared in great royalty families before their in their family, how all kings were, and becoming a son also like that. They want to less than their chinta, and so they asking because after some time they give whole kingdom to the Parikshit Maharaj, and they go for their Himalaya towards Himalaya for taking the tapasya. Prabhuji will tell us in detail also. Hare Krishna, vancha kalpatarubhya krupa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Krishna,
And they
Hare
compare
Krishna.
the today's kingdom,
Hare
Prashasaka,
Krishna.
administrators.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji. So on this auspicious day of Ekadashi, we are discussing a very important aspect from this Bhagavatam. We have seen that the Brahmanas, they have become pleased with the charity of Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj during the Jata ceremony being held for Parikshit Maharaj. And then they have exclaimed and glorified how the child was a great one. And they also give the reason, because he was someone who was protected by Krishna himself. So it definitely means that he was going to be a great devotee. He was going to what I'll say, exhibit an alloyed devotional service. So after listening this, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj became very happy, and he addressed Brahmanas as great soul. So this becomes an important aspect for us to discuss today. Who can be called as great souls, and how can we ourselves become great souls? So after addressing them as great souls, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj wants to know further more things. Whether as a king, Parikshit Maharaj will be saintly, whether he will become pious, his name will be known as a pious king, and whether he would have achievements which can make him famous and glorified. So these three are his basic inquiries about Parikshit Maharaj. Now we all know that Parikshit Maharaj has come in the dynasty where all the kings have been pious, saintly, and almost all of them have been glorified by their great achievements. So all the forefathers were actually saints on the royal throne. So though they were grihasthas, they were nothing less than sannyasis. And because the ruler was pious, therefore even the members of the state were happy, pious, well-behaved, prosperous, and most importantly, spiritually enlightened. So Krishna has been ensuring that the rulers are spiritually enlightened. It is said, Yatha Raja Tatha Praja. So if the king is spiritually enlightened, then only the subjects can become spiritually enlightened. And hence, it has always been the endeavor of Krishna to establish religion to ensure that the leader is religious. Dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. This is what Krishna is saying, that he wants to establish religion, so he comes. But then to establish religion, he requires someone to hold it together. And that is the role of an administrator, of a king, of an emperor. So previously the whole earth used to be ruled by a single emperor, single king. It is now that we find so many fragmented countries. So under strict guidance of great souls and spiritual injunctions, such greatly saints used to be trained up. And because they were trained, that is why the whole kingdom became full of saintly persons. And it became a happy land of spiritual life. So everyone was supportive of each other on the journey back home, back to Godhead. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira himself was just like his ancestors, a replica. And so he desired that even the next king after him become exactly like his great forefathers. So when the Brahmanas, the learned Brahmanas, told him, he was happy to learn that according to the astrological calculations, the child would be a Uttama Adhikari, or a first great devotee of the Lord. So He wanted to know further whether the child would also follow the footsteps of his great forefathers. Now, this actually is the duty of a king. Not only the king should be pious, chivalrous devotee of the Lord, fear personified for those who make mistakes, but he must also leave an heir apparent equally qualified to rule over the innocent citizen. So this is the duty of a king, to ensure that there is a proper heir to the kingdom as well. And Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, through this question, is exhibiting his awareness of his duties. So Prabhupada ji in the purport is talking how Kali Yuga has resulted in a situation where we are talking about Shudras ruling the Shudras. All the administrators are Shudras, and that is why we have so many problems. So ideally, we should all learn from Srimad Bhagavatam how ideal administrators must be, and how everyone should be eager to give charge of different positions, different posts. Everyone should become a saintly king. That is the need of the hour. Discussing this further, Raj Rishi, or a saintly king, is ideally a ruler who embodies high moral virtues, deep spiritual devotion, and a commitment to the well-being of their subjects. So we know, like say King Janak, he is considered an ideal king with a strong spiritual practice, and he demonstrated both political leadership and devotion to Krishna at the same time. So if you are to understand, there are two qualities which become very important. One is righteous rule, and second is deep spirituality. So saintly king governs with righteousness and ethical principles, prioritizing the welfare of the people, not welfare of the party or self. And deep spirituality, committed to spiritual practices, committed to devotion to Krishna, actually becoming a model devotee whom others can follow. Scriptures will make us understand so many things about it. For them, personal gain is not important. What is important is ruling with justice and compassion. Rajarishi. Moral integrity is another quality. They should be upholding ethical standards in all aspects of their life and governance. They should have compassionate leadership, governing with concern for the well-being of subjects, and selflessness, putting the needs of the kingdom above their own personal gains. Puthu Maharaj is another example, who ruled with righteousness and ensured prosperity for his people. Ram Rajya is something which we aspire for even today. Lord Rama, known for his moral conduct and devotion to Dharma. So Rajrishi essentially denotes a saintly king who not only possesses the qualities of ruler, but also embodies the virtue of wisdom, compassion, righteousness, typically associated with a saint or a devotee. And then we come to know about the query wherein we wanted to know whether he would be pious. Now, regarding piousness, if you all remember, there is a shloka which we have studied previously. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna arto jidnyasu artharthi jnani cha bharata rashabha. Obvious among the Bharatas, four kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and him who is searching for knowledge of the absolute. So all of these are pious. But then, though they are pious, They're doing pious activities. All of them are expecting a reciprocation. The distressed is hoping that the cause of his sorrow will be removed. A person who is wanting wealth is hoping that he'll get a lot of health. A person who wants to have his questions answered is inquisitive. And one who wants to become a jnani is also doing pious activities, hoping that he gets the knowledge. But even beyond that, Krishna says what is important is being spiritual and strong. And that can be achieved only when we become a good devotee of the Lord. And the best way to achieve it is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But one should never consider chanting of the holy name of the Godhead equal to pious activities like giving charity to Brahmanas or saintly persons, opening charitable institutions, distributing food, and so on. Because the results of pious activities do not equal the results of chanting the holy name of Krishna. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, 3rd chapter of Skanda Puran, it is there. Gukoti Danam Grahane Khagasya Prayag Gangodaka Kalpavasa Yajna Yutam Meru Suvarna Danam Govinda Kirtehena Samam Satam Shahi. Even if one distributes 10 million cows in charity during an eclipse of the sun, lives at the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna for millions of years, or gives a mountain of gold in sacrifice to the Brahmanas, it does not earn Shataun 100th part of the merit derived from chanting Hare Krishna. Govinda Kirte. So in other words, when we accept the chanting of Hare Krishna is most important. It is pious. But the real fact is that Krishna and his name being transcendental are far above all mundane pious activity. Piousness on the material platform, but chanting of the holy name is on the spiritual plane. So this is important. And so where Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj is worried about whether the child will be pious, he is looking at his piousness on the spiritual platform. And then one has to become famous and glorified in achievement. So achievement for Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj was whether the child would become trained spiritually and ensure that dharma is followed. Whether he will ensure that all the subjects are given situation in such a way that they can practice that spiritual service and do seva to Krishna. Anyone who takes name of Krishna even once is glorified because he is now a devotee. And one who is preaching is more dearer. Prabhupada says that the best way to preach is distribution of the books. So when Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj is talking about it, he is expecting that the child should be able to promote spiritualism. But in today's world, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Chare dekha tare kah Krishna upadesh. To make and ensure that everyone understands what is their eternal position with reference to Krishna and how they can get out of the repeated cycles of birth, old age, disease, and death. So anyone who is able to do it becomes famous and glorified and gets achievements which are dear to even Krishna. Srila Prabhupada expects us to do it. And that is why when we take the vows during initiation ceremony, We promise our Guru Maharaj that will serve the Krishna consciousness mission of Srila Prabhupada to the best of our abilities in the mood of servant of the servant of the servant. Dasanudas bhava. Because it is then that Krishna becomes happy and he empowers us to ensure that his mission is successful, to ensure that there are appropriate achievements. And when someone is able to do it, it brings glories to the whole family, as we saw yesterday, where Srila Prabhupada clearly mentions in the purport of the 17th shloka. So that has to be the objective of our life. To chant and be happy, and to make others chant and make them also happy. The highest benefit is done to one's family simply by becoming an alloyed devotee of the Lord. And when such a devotee is there, a first-class devotee is there, then not only the present members of the family, but even past and future, up to 100 generations, become liberated by the grace of the Lord. So let us all come together, continue our sadhana, and contribute our contribution to Srila Prabhupada's mission. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhescha kripa sindhuveva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Today is Ekadashi, so please chant as much as you can to please Srila Prabhupada as well as Krishna.